bullying because I see the bullying that goes on at school. I see what you guys face every day. When they said, ask me to speak, I didn't want to just do a sermon. I don't want to sit here and just preach at you. I want to talk to you. And I wanted to figure out what it was that God directly wanted me to speak to you. Not when I rehearsed. Not when I went around traveling. You know, when I traveled throughout the schools, I had a criteria that I went by. This is what I did. This is what I talked about. I would talk about kids committing suicide, kids being beat, and listen to their stories. Stories that blew me away. I have watched over the years when I was a youth pastor, and during the time that I traveled, the loss of young people. I've watched them take their lives. I've watched them leave themselves in accidents. And one of the things that I got so discouraged about and I got so mad about with myself is because at one time I used to preach Jesus and I walked away. And during that 19 years of my life, when I watched the countless number of young people that lost their lives, I blame myself. I blame myself today. It's one of those things that I battle with and ask for forgiveness in my own heart because I knew the truth of Jesus Christ and I did not share it. I don't know what happened to any of those people because one of the things I'll let you know is I think we're in for a big surprise when we get to heaven on who we see and who we don't. Because nobody has any idea what that person's last words are going to be before they take their last breath. Is it a cry out to God? Maybe, maybe not. You young people are the key. It is crazy. This church and the areas that it serves is unreal. I've been in churches that were in a town. We serve basically that town, that school district. This church serves an array of communities. When I was talking to you and I asked you, what do we got, 4 different schools represented here? Wow. What an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I don't know who's saved. I don't know who's not. I only know myself. I don't judge. But I will tell you one thing. I love this church. And I've been to a lot of churches. I don't plan on going anywhere. I hope that you all are. And my door is always open. I will tell you that I love you. And when I say that, I don't say it just to say it. You'll find that I honestly do. I will never judge you, and I will always be open for you. I came upon the scripture in Psalms 107 when I asked God, what is it that you want me to speak to you? Psalms 107 says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story. Those he redeemed, hand of the bow. So I'm going to tell you my story. I grew up in Hannibal. I got in a lot of trouble. I was just ornery. I did not like a quiet classroom. I did not like other people studying. It drove me nuts. When they were studying, we weren't having fun. I was the student that, yes, yelled fire, jumped out the windows. I was the one who got into a lot of fights. If there was a fight in school, you could almost guarantee some of the first words they were going to say was, "It Wes?" I also encountered a lot of situations where I had knives pulled on me. I got very interested in the martial arts. I got so into the martial arts, man, nothing else mattered in my life. I was all about, I went competing and I went just going nuts. But I did grow up in church. I went to church up until I was probably in high school. When I started getting involved in martial arts, that took precedence. I worked out all the time. I was at my instructor's countless every day. I would run almost 2 miles to class. I would go to class, and then I would stay for another class, and then I would run home. I was dedicated to this stuff. I wanted to learn how to fight. I loved fighting. I loved having fun. I mean, you know, it was just the thing to do then. We didn't have Nintendo. We had y'all ever heard of Pong? Boink. Boink, boink, boink. Boink. Boink, 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 boink. It was just a little thing that went back and you had this little paddle. Yeah. Big time, baby. That was video games in my world. It was on a little handheld. We had a little handheld thing, had 3 buttons. You just pushed the button and it came to send it back. Yeah, good times. I grew up in church, but I got away from church. Grew up in high school. Eventually, I, was working, doing this and that. I grew up, and I really got involved in church. Man, I got saved on a Wednesday night. Those of you that don't think Wednesday night is important, let me tell you, I have seen more lives changed. I have seen more just conversions and people coming to Christ on a Wednesday night. So people that just come Sunday, man, they have no idea what they're missing on a Wednesday. Things can happen. I got saved on a Wednesday. Went to church for several years, man, and I was on fire. And I had a call in my life for young people. That is all that mattered. I wanted to preach to young people. I wanted to travel the world. I was going to win every young person to Christ no matter what it took. And I got involved in youth. I ended up, I went to Tabernacle in Hannibal, and I got involved. First thing I did was I started driving a bus, picking up kids. Hated it. I'm serious. You pick up kids on, I can't tell you the stories there. But I got involved in youth, and Kevin was the youth pastor at the time, so we went. Kevin ended up stepping down as youth pastor, and we had a couple different ones. But anyway, me and the young guy that I went to high school with, his name was Keith, we took over youth. Youth just really started to grow. We started hanging out with school, and we started eating lunch, and just letting people get to know us and letting people know that, we wanted to joke. We honestly cared about what was going on in your life. It got so big, and it got to the point where, there's sometimes too many captains, not enough Indians. And I had the opportunity to move to Moberly, and I went to Moberly, and I took over a youth department there. At that particular time, the youth and the church could not afford a youth pastor. But what they had was a guy that owned a dealership, car dealership. So he gave me a job. Basically, he paid me a Christian and a used car salesman. Try not to lie in that scenario. No, that's never been right. Driven by a little old lady just on Sundays. Yeah. Y'all don't get that, do you? They're not laughing. All right, but I took over this youth group. A few years after that, the guy that I was doing youth with at the time was killed. He was actually killed coming back from a youth outing. He dropped everybody off except for one kid. He was on his way back to the church when he wrecked the man and killed him. Killed him and the young kid with him. So Keith ended up, he died. Kevin took back over the youth. And that went on for a while, and I got a phone call from Pastor Blaze, and he asked me if I wanted to come back. I knew it was coming. I knew God had told me it was coming. We talked about situations, and we just knew that this is what God wanted. So I went back. I was on fire for God, man. Keith had taken a small youth group of probably, when I left, might have been 50 kids. And my last Wednesday night that I served as youth pastor, we had just shy of 800. It was crazy. Lives were being changed. Young people were on fire. And they were not ashamed to walk into that high school and tell everybody about Jesus. They got over the initial being made fun of, and were on fire. So I did that for a while, and I ended up doing one of the, I think, one of the worst things that you could do to another human being. I cheated. I had an affair with another girl, and it devastated my wife. I did not want to live with that lie my whole life, so I admitted to what I did. I got angry with myself, but I blamed everybody else. I blamed my ex-wife. I blamed the church. I blamed everybody for what I did. And I walked away from the church. And for 19 years, I hated God. And when I tell you I hate him, I did. I would try to talk down about God. I would talk down about church. How many have ever seen you see the good old commercials? You know, let's just be honest. We see the beer commercials. We all watch TV. Some of the, let's just be honest, some of the coolest commercials on TV are sometimes the beer commercials. And the Corona, you ever see the Corona with the lime? Man, them guys are having fun. Are they? Tell me they're not. They're with all their buddies, man. And they're sitting there and they're having a gay old time. They're having a good old time. We don't say gay old time nowadays. I'll be bashed. They're having a good time. And my kid, they're loving it. They've got all the friends together and it looks like they're just having a good time. And they make it look like it's okay to do. Hey, they're drinking. Get drunk, makes you feel good. Man, it's not so bad. Everybody's doing it. I don't do it every day, Dad. I just drank a little bit on the weekend. It was just a little after party. The bad thing of it is they don't show you the after effects, what happens later. It starts out as fun. It starts out as cool. Everybody's doing it. But the part they don't show you in the commercials when you're laying in the street and you're vomiting. You can't wake up because you're passed out. I remember on countless times that God must have had some mighty hand on my life or somebody was desperately praying for me. Because I got thrown into the back of a pickup truck just on one night, and they took me home and they threw me in my front yard. I laid there all night. Did my own vomit. I literally had vomited, didn't know it, and I slept in it. The next day I got up, had a hangover, went to my house, got cleaned up, went to work. I had to bowl that night. Went to bowling that night. The two guys I was partying with weren't there. Didn't have a clue. It wasn't until 2 days later that I found out after they dropped me off on their way home, they flipped their truck several times and were in the hospital. How lucky was I that they dropped me off first? They don't show these things in the commercials. Needless to say, as much as I hated God, I wanted to get away from God as much as I can, and I wanted to forget about everything that was going on in my life. I started drinking all the time. any chance that I had. Probably a lot of times I went to home, I went to work, and probably shouldn't be at work. Because had I been tested, it wouldn't have come out very well. I got into drugs, and I ended up with a $1,500 a week crack habit. I was doing crack cocaine, living in a hotel a quarter mile from my house where my family was. I was living with 2 guys that I worked with, and ended up having prostitutes living with me. Because of all the money that I was spending in the crack, I also had to subsidize because I still didn't have enough money because I was running out of money every week. So I had to find other ways to get income. So we were using the prostitutes in our motel room to help bring in money for us. And then we would, in exchange, make sure that nothing happened to them or drive them to wherever they needed to be. I was a mess. I did this for I don't know how long, until I finally got to the point one Monday morning that I was out of money. I had lost my family. I have 7 children. I have 2 of my own at home, and I have 2 stepchildren. My other 5 children that I have not spoken to or physically seen in over 15 years. They want nothing to do with their dad. There's a lot of things I would tell you that none of these people know. I'm a convicted felon because I had to steal things to make money. I have 7 children, 5 of which I never see. I was the youngest out of 6 kids that has no type of relationship with his brothers and sisters. We do not speak, but on occasion, the occasional funeral, probably. They don't live 30 miles from me. I have done nothing but destroy lives for years because I walked away from God. I got married 5 years ago to a woman that has never been involved in church. She went to church for a very short time when she was 8 years old. And for some reason, after we got married, this woman said, we need to go to church. I think we need to go to church. I went to church because I cared for her. I did not want to be there. I ended up going back to church. I went several times, and she finally looked at me and she said, if you're not going to try, then we're not going to go. There's no reason to go. I had been mistreated by the church. When I tried to come back to the church, what I did when I had my affair did not go unnoticed. The Sunday after I had my affair, it was announced in 3 churches what I did. It was announced in Moberly. It was announced in Columbia. It was announced in Hannibal. Everybody announced what I did. I was embarrassed. The one person that I thought I could turn to and talk to, not as a pastor, was my brother. My brother was a pastor. My brother on the phone told me I was sick and I needed help. That's how the church treated me. So I thought. I went to a couple of different churches. I was asked to leave. I had walked into the back of a church and literally had people ask me to leave. I was not welcome there. So I had a lot of animosity and I had a lot of hate. And I walked into a church one day during the week, and I looked at a pastor, and I said, let me tell you, dude, this is who I am. This is what happened. What are you going to do? And he said, you're home. You're home. of the reason that I went to that pastor was because of the pastor that you have here. See, Lance went to the church that I was youth pastor at. And I hadn't seen him since I walked out that day, 19 years ago. And it just so happened that he got a job where I was working. He ended up working right beside me. He didn't judge me. He just simply let me know that, hey man, God still cares about you. God still loves you. So I came back. My goal right now is to do everything I can to win people to Jesus. I do not go anywhere, and people that know me will tell you, I do not go anywhere that I'm not mentioning Jesus. It's all about God. People think I'm nuts. I'm telling you, dude, I'm a freak. My wife hates it when I say, but I am a Jesus freak. Because I am all about God, and I know that it's very difficult in the schools to do that. You have to do that. You have to be the ones that reach out and give Jesus to people. There are people that are going through things, and I don't know what kind of things that you guys are going through. I don't know what your home life is like. I don't know you guys that well. I'd like to. I don't know what you're going through in life. I don't know what your home life is like. I don't know what things that binding you down, whether it's schoolwork or whether it's where you're going to go to college or where you're going to get a job or, I don't know. Man, I have encountered kids that seemed like they had it all together, that were in sports and they were the star of the sports, and all they wanted to do was kill themselves because their parents were so hard on them. They felt like they had everything. Everybody thought they had everything all together, and they didn't. My son is 18. And I will never forget the day that his brother called me and said, Dad, you need to get home. And I said, what's wrong? He said, get home. And when I got home, his brother was taking him off a rafter with the belt around his neck. He's still alive. He's doing well. But I saw the things that he was going through because of school. The reason that I went around and I did anti-bullying campaigns is because I got a phone call from the school one day. And they looked at me and they called me and they said, Wes, just want to let you know something happened. There was an incident on the bus. Preston's upset. And I said, what happened? I don't know. He hit somebody. That's all I knew. He hit a kid. The bus driver turned around and he hit a kid with his book bag. My son came up and he was bawling his eyes out. But he was bloody. And it didn't make sense. I said, what's wrong? He said, I hit a kid, I'm in trouble. And I just could not understand that there was more to it. He's swollen. His face is swollen. His bloody his nose. And it didn't make sense to me. And I had to wait an entire weekend because it was Friday after school. And I went to the school on a Monday morning. And I walked into the school and I said, this is the deal. I don't know what happened, but it doesn't make sense. And they said, well, we've got video on the bus, so we'll find out. And an hour later, I got a phone call. And I had school telling me, we're sorry. I said, sorry for what? They said, your son's not in trouble. See, prior to him hitting that kid, what the bus driver didn't see is the 37 times he had been hit in the face. Now, I was angry. I was mad. So what I decided to do was spend the next year of my life and travel the country doing anti-bullying campaigns. And I was going to schools after school after school, traveling all over, doing anti-bullying campaigns, getting kids on fire about, oh, we're going to stand for you. Yay. wasn't working. You know why? No Jesus, no love. The only thing that's going to change the schools in our country are you. It's not going to be your teacher. It's not going to be your parents. Because we can't come into the school. We can't mention God anymore. We can't even say a Pledge of Allegiance anymore. We can't mention anything about the Bible. It all has to be student initiated, and it's you. You guys carry a heavy burden on your life. What used to be okay in school, we could have Bible clubs, and we had prayer before school, and anybody remember Siesta the Flag? Do they even do that anymore? You know, we used to do that every September when we met at the flag, and the kids, man, you'd see hundreds and hundreds of kids, young people, at schools everywhere, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, and they'd be there and they'd be praying to God for their school for that year. And I don't even think it's all gotten lost. Youth conventions, youth nights used to be jam-packed. You guys have a heavy burden on you. If you want